Hello and welcome to my. Well, actually, no, I don't actually have to say that. Welcome to What If Azuka Midori had the Clone Trooper Army as a quirk. Y'all might remember my other army one, and you already know what the same thing's gonna go like. He's at the mall. Actually, no, let's say he is. Where should it be? Where should it be now? Good evening. I love how I'm going to do this. Pretty much the same premise. Azuku. So villains attack the mall. Azuku needs help. Some clone trooper dropships, same one from Attack of the Clones. Oh, on yeah, I totally forget what it's called. Um, that planet. Clone trooper ship. Fleet. It's on fleet. What does it look like? Okay. 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 Yeah. So they could drop down in a clone trooper dropship, Republic trooper dropship, whatever it's going to be called. They take out the villains with stun because they know Azuka doesn't want them to be killed because he still wants to be hero. He's not. I'm not saying he's going to be a villain. I'm just saying he's not going to be able to go and become a hero. After that, same thing happens with my other army. What if people find out that Izuku's quirk makes them, and they're like, and that he wants to go to UA and become a hero, and they're like, well, how is he going to become a hero if he makes life forms that can think for themselves? That's legit just slavery. And so people are kind of contrasted between letting him go and just saying that they just do his bidding without having a second thought, like they're mindless robots, and others say that they're just suppressing it. Really, it's like they're executing Order 66 or any of the other orders that Palpatine had in place. Yes, there were more, like Order 67, that thankfully actually no, it was used once. While a few weeks after the Empire took over, Palpatine executed it and used the rest of the clone army on a planet, and Order 67 is practically just a mass genocide of a planet. Practically it. That's it. Just mass genocide. And so Izuku, with all the confusion of everybody talking about it, goes into the forest. He kind of goes to the edge of the cliff in the forest because, yes, of course. And you might be wondering, what, is he going to kill himself? No, better. You know how the clone troopers were created on Kamino and that Kaminoan base? Yeah, that's what he makes. He legit summons a drop ship, asks them to kind of fly a few hundred miles out so that nobody can really see it. Probably even farther, really, because I really don't want anybody to see it. And right then and there, he starts creating the Kaminoan base, the Kaminoan clone facility. Now, it takes a while, like a few minutes, and he finally finishes it, and he asks them to go and land on the pad. So they go and do that. And so, where the clone troopers would be kind of being born and stuff, instead it took a bit of Izuku's DNA, and it's automatically pumping out clone troopers. The more and more it does it, the better and better they are at kind of doing their job. And so older ones are kind of more of a tank ones. They are more of take hits, dish out. Yeah, they're mostly just take hits. The ones in between them were kind of a can't really take hits, but can shoot really powerful stuff with their weapons. And then the last ones were really agile, so they were kind of like the Bad Batch. Um, there weren't a lot of them, so they actually became like a ARC troopers, and they were personally trained by well, because the clone troopers were trained by Mandalorians. I'm just gonna say that Deku was able to create a few Mandalorians. He can't create a ton. He can only make the 5 that were with Boba. Is it Boba or Jack? It was Boba. Yeah, it was Boba. With the fat, one of the fats. I forgot which one. You guys could say in the comments. I forget. I might be asking, is that a soda? Is that beer? No, it's a soda. It's I don't. It's like 8 or something. And I'm planning to pull a few more what ifs out my ass. He makes a base, everything's like that. They're being trained by the few Mandalorians he can make that are pretty dang good. The rest of the clones that he makes are just regular clones. They're not in the Mark 1 armors, they're in the Mark 2s, because Izuku, unlike the Kaminoans, actually know how the human body works. So he knows what the human body, what the suits actually should be. So he makes the Mark 2 armors. I believe it's a B2. I don't know. I forget the names. Anyway, Izuku has his own personal kind of like army. He is able to. So him himself has his own personal guard. It's going to be the 501st. He has 3 personal units under his control: the 501st, the Wolf Pack, and Commander Cody's group. The rest are under control of those so Izuku is in control of the Wolfpack, 501st, and Cody's group. Those 3 groups are in control of the other clone troopers. So, yeah, the Captain Rex's 501st team has, the standard blue armor that they would usually have, and the other ones would kind of have varying shades of blue. Same thing with Cody's. They're orange. They would be varying shades of orange. So it could go to dark orange to red to tan and shit like that. Wolf's thing, regular gray as they were. The other ones of them are going to be red. So Cody's group isn't going to have red. They're also going to have very light blue. So Captain Rex's group can't have blue. I mean, you can't have light blue. You know what? All the other clone troopers, just regular white armor. With a few exceptions for different ones, like the snow troops, the desert troops, the space ones, all that shit that nobody really sees. Ooh. Anyway, so yeah, we're just gonna kind of time skip. Everybody starts somehow to forget about everybody starts to forget about Zuku. They don't forget about his clone troopers. they're still kind of wondering, hey, are these guys ever actually going to become heroes? And people were like, I'm not sure. I mean, they got a mind of their own, right? And they're like, I mean, if they did, wouldn't they try and become, heroes? And that's when the controversy kind of starts up again. Because people are like, well, if they had a mind of their own, they would do it by themselves. If they didn't, then they just do what Izuku tells them to do. So people are like, well, maybe he's making them think that. And others are like, well, maybe they really just are mindless machines. And so Zubu, he and the rest of his clone troopers are just just making the army. Slowly over time, they're building it up and building it up and building it up. They've amassed about 1 million troopers. You might be wondering, hey, how are they keeping all these guys secret? Well, that's because they're actually, they were able to put the rest of the base underground. The kind of supports, a few of them, some of them have a type of elevators to go underground or into the water where you got kind of like what if any of you guys have ever played Fallen Order, like that base where you finally take out, where you try and take out Darth Vader, but you don't because you're too fucking weak and Darth Vader's a damn god. So yeah, they got that underwater base, and so yeah, I'm tired. So what? I've been going to sleep about 8 to 9 p.m. It's already 8:04. What do you think I feel like right now? Um. Oh Jesus, sorry about that. So Zuku is slowly making up his army. Underground is just a gigantic network of tunnels, and it's just a legit gigantic area. Like, the only reason sonar submarines and stuff somehow haven't noticed Zuku's base is because they were never really able to get close enough to it. And you might be asking, well, how is that possible? Well, it's kind of hard to understand, really, to explain, but there was kind of like something around the area that just made them not want to go in. And whenever they were asked about it, whenever they just brought up the coordinates, they were like, oh, yeah, just never mind that area. It's like they immediately, it's like they were immediately afraid to go there without actually knowing why they were. And so, Zuku was able to make his army and all the ships and stuff in peace. Now, they're not going to be the gigantic ones because, well, just because, it's not like he's going to be traveling to different planets. Actually, no, yeah, he's not going to be going to different planets. And so, what really happens is Zuku just makes he kind of just makes the dropships, and I'd say maybe he kind of just makes the atmospheric dropships and cargo ships and all that stuff, the stuff that would carry things into battle. He just makes those. yeah, that's pretty much it. But over time, after people started talking about if the clone army were, if the clone troopers, or if Izuku's army was were actually people, if they actually had minds and stuff, they started to wonder, wait, where even is he? Because Izuku hasn't really made a presence. He's just he's just you know gone. He's just used. Fuck. Excuse me. God, I'm burping up a storm. Mm. Mm. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Zuku's just fishing. He was somehow able to make cows and stuff. He's got his own farms and everything. He's able to produce. He's able to make food and stuff. That's how he's been able to stay on the island for so long, and he's just able to kind of. You can take seawater and boil it to take all the salt out and stuff. And he kind of just does that. He processes the water and everything. So he's got a steady flow of food and water. So he's able to stay on the island for all this time, and it's been a few years. Bakugo has kind of been like, where the fuck is the kid I'm supposed to bully? And so he kind of goes to the last place that Zuki was seen, and I don't know why anybody hasn't done that, but Bakugo does that, and he decides to bring a telescope for some reason. He thinks that he just wants to see if Izuku somehow was able to go far out into the ocean and stuff like that. And so he takes out his telescope, shit. And so he kind of just looks out, and he sees a gigantic base on the water, and he sees Izuku standing at a point of it where it's looking straight back at the island, at Japan. And he's like, holy shit, my friend's out there. And so he goes and tells authorities and stuff, and he tells everybody, and they're like, holy shit, no way, he's all the way out there? Is this what his power can do? No, it's not. It's not even the full extent, because Izuku is still able to make the gigantic cruisers. He just hasn't found an area to make them. Fuck, shivers, dumb spine. I'm just scrolling down YouTube and I see Sith Troopers make no sense. It's the ones from the new Star Wars movie, the Rey one. Those aren't Sith Troopers. Those are just Kathleen, whatever the fuck her name is. That's just her interpretation of Sith Troopers. The real Sith Troopers actually served Sith Lords back in the Old Republic. Anyways, the police just send out some boats, they send out some helicopters, and they ask to dock on Izuku's base, and he grants them. So one helicopter with, I could say, a mayor, like let's just say the Emperor of Japan, like the ruler of Japan. I don't know who is it in My Hero Academia universe. We're not really going to give them a name or anything, but they're there as well, with the chief of police for the entirety of Japan is there, and a few news reporters. They kind of go to the door, and 4 stormtroopers say, "Halt! You're not allowed unless you have access by our commander, by our. Let's just say he is called by our. You do not have access to this area by what the fuck is that going on? Like legit. Let's just see. Okay, let's just call them that. Let's just say that they call him, you do not have authority by our, commander. Let's just say commander. And they're like, who is your commander? And they're like, Izuku Midoriya. Unless you have authority by him, and then he has told us to let you in, you are not allowed in here. And so they say, and so he says, the ruler of Japan says, I'm the ruler of Japan. I can go wherever I want in my area. They're like, sorry, sir. This area is now under Izuku Midoriya's leadership. And it has been for quite some time. And so he says, just call up your commander and let us in. And so he says, sir, please contact Izuku Midoriya and ask him if the Emperor of Japan is supposed to be here. And so, Fox goes to Cody, who goes to Rex, and Rex goes to Izuku Midoriya. All three of them actually go, and Rex says, sir, the Emperor of Japan is here. He would like to speak to you. Izuku says, let him in. I would like to speak to him as well. Now, Izuku's kind of clouded out in, I wonder if I should put him in. Holy shit, these things actually look cool. I know it's taken some time. I'm just looking for armors that Izuku could wear. In the meantime, they're heading to Izuku's office that is at the highest part of the base. And while they're there, they see that all these clone troopers are being trained and being produced. And so they're like, holy crap, so there really aren't just robots. They're being produced like them. And yeah, they are. So, I'm still trying to find some armor for Izuku to wear. Ooh, there's some concept art for some clone troopers. I'd like to see that. See if there's any good shit. Holy crap, there is some. Holy shit, that thing looks awesome. I know I'm cursing, but this is not a kid-friendly channel. And if you are watching this, kids, don't tell your parents. Besides, you don't actually have to, really. They could ask you, hey, what are you doing? And you could say, oh, I was watching, and then say regular YouTuber you watch. If I am a regular YouTuber you watch, just say a random one. Please, I don't want my channel to get demonetized. Jeez. Where is it? Ooh, those look cool. You might be asking, why am I doing that? And it's kind of just to fill up time. Holy shit, 24 minutes and I still haven't really put down what Izuku's armor looks like. Ha ha ha. Huh. I'm tired. I'm going to have another sip of soda now. Oh, that's good shit. What type of clone trooper armor is this? I know I'm taking a long time, but yeah, I'm not really sure if it will be worth it. Screw it, we're just gonna do this one. Even though this looks like Imperial armor, whatever. This is Izuku's armor. This is what he's in. It looks freaking dope, that's why I want him to wear it. He's like that, they walk in, they're like, oh, Mr. Izuku, it seems like you are ready for war. And he's like, I wasn't ready for war, sir. What I was ready to do was defend my base. And the Emperor of Japan is like, we weren't going to come and take your base. And he's like, oh, well, good. And so the news reporters immediately jump ahead to Emperor because he doesn't really have the strongest quirk, I could say. And so they're like, what drove you to make this base and have it so far away from the mainland? And Izuku looks at them because he had his back turned to them. And he says, well, I mean, I would have put it closer if you guys would have stopped criticizing me. I give these men free reign of what to do. Like, the only time they're actually fully under my command is when we're in battle, and that hasn't really been the thing for a long time. All they've really been doing is just training, practicing, and whenever they have time to, because they're supposed to be the best of the best soldiers, they get to do fun stuff. That looks awesome. So, anyway, they're like, oh, that's good to hear. Well, we were told that they were kind of like a slave army. And he looks at them and he's like, a slave army? These are not slaves. They have their own free mind and will. They choose to be under my command. I'm not making them or forcing them to. It's their own choice. They very well could have just left any time they wanted to. I give them free reign to do that. But they believe that there's nobody that could train them as well as I could. And because they're more of a battle-hardened and battle-ready type of person, or army, they decided to stay. And so they're like, well, did you make them like that? And he's like, oh God, no. All I had when I made them was I had the intent to protect my mother during that attack. But after that, you guys kind of flipped it on its head. And so after the interview and everything, he answers a few more questions. Everybody's kind of reassured. They're like, oh, thank goodness he's not this slave-owning, forceful ruler to these guys. He never really was, and he never really was going to be. And so the Emperor finally gets the chance to say, okay, now that it's my turn to talk, what exactly are you going to do with these people? And Izuku says, well, I'm going to try and protect my home, my land. Under your rule and under the hero's rule, villainy has dropped, but at the same time, it's not gone. So what I want to do is give you some of my men and military. Pro heroes will be their commanders for the time being. When they're in battle, they will give them orders what to do. And they'll patrol the streets, make sure everybody's safe. If there's a villain attack, they'll be there in a minute. Probably even less. What I want to do is I want to make a better society. I want to make a better world where kids could live without fearing that their mother is going to die. I want to live in a world where the villain percentage is 0. And I want you to make sure this happens. And now the Emperor is like, well, what if one of them gets mind controlled? And he's like, their brain will explode. And the reporters are like, what? And he's like, yes, their brain will explode. It's an involuntary thing that can happen, that is just in them. I didn't put it there, I don't want it there, but I can't extract it. No modern or futuristic tech can actually extract it. It's just a part of the brain. You remove it, the trooper practically instantly dies. Until they ask another question. Well, what if the hero somehow becomes a villain and the clone troopers don't notice it? And Izuku says, well, it would be kind of easy to just say, hey, that guy's a villain, because they'll listen to any of their other commanders. When they say other commanders, I mean, he's like, yes, the 3 clone troopers you walked by when you came into here, those are the 3 highest ranking clone troopers I have. They're under my they're my personal guards. Their groups consist of their original groups and then a few million clone troopers. And they're like, a few million? And he's like, yes. Oh yeah, that's right, you haven't seen the underwater base. And like, underwater, he's like, oh shit. And Emperor asks, I will see this now. Izuku says, how about this? I let you go see this. And you give me a part of the city. And he's like, what do you mean a part of the city? Izuku says, I let you go see some pretty cool stuff that you could say is powerful, but I could say it's just cheap stuff. Because I can make way more powerful things that are down there. And you give me a quarter of Japan. In return, I don't have to forcefully take it to make this world better. He's like, forcefully take it? And Izuku's like, you've seen what they can do just from their training. You've seen how many I have. You're about to see some pretty powerful equipment and vehicles that are down there. And you dare to ask me that? I could kill you here right on the spot, sir. But I haven't. You could launch nukes at us. Sure, go ahead. Won't do a thing. I've already created force fields and shit. You launched those nukes. You declared war on me. Not me declaring war on you. I'm just telling you what will happen. Okay? I'm putting out these ground rules. Okay? It escalated to me telling you what I would have done because you questioned me. So if you are okay with me having a quarter of the city or a quarter of Japan to go see some high-tech equipment, okay, yeah, I'm alright with that. Just a quarter. It could just be a desolate forest. A gigantic desolate forest. I'm okay with that. I can do stuff with that. It could be the middle of nowhere in Japan. I'm okay. As long as I have some land. Because I'm tired of being at sea. And so the Emperor's like, okay. And so the Emperor makes a phone call to his generals and he says, put up a type of evacuate citizens in section, and he says a part of a city, a gigantic part, and they're like, sir, why? He's like, somebody's going to kind of take leadership of that area. And so the small city and whoever was in the forest were quickly evacuated, and a barrier was put up around it, a type of border. Nobody's been able to pass it. If anybody does, they're immediately arrested. And so Zuko says, thank you. Now follow me. So he brings him down into his underground base that's gigantic. You could say it's the size of New York, but that being an understatement. And just going down the elevator, he sees all this stuff, and he's like, and in his head, he's kind of like a second in command, somebody like his representative, his vice person that they would have, kind of leans over to him and he says, it's a good thing you agreed to this, sir, because I don't think we would have survived a single day against this guy. And Emperor's like, I know that. Now shut up, unless you want to die. Because, yeah, I don't know. And so he was like, after seeing that, you guys could go now. I will be kind of bringing this entire base over to that area and kind of just taking it. So, thank you. Have a good day. And they're escorted out, and they're kind of flying away, and they see the base slowly move over. The entire thing just lifts off the ground, and they're like, holy shit, is that a spaceship itself? Yes, it is. The tubes where the elevators are kind of collapse into kind of like their pistons. They just collapse and connect. And so Zuko flies his base over to the area, sets it down immediately because of how because of the armor on the bottom part of the ship, because it's supposed to be underwater pretty far, it's able to kind of push the ground down. And so Zuko's base is now onto the ground, and people see this and they're like, holy shit, is that a Zuko's base? Is that his base? And people are like, holy shit, does that mean the Emperor kind of just forfeited a piece of land? And so news is stirring up. Zuko kind of just set up a gigantic force field around the area, kind of starts making a gigantic city around his base, mostly just industrial so they could have some more materials. Now people are at the force field kind of banging on it, trying to get in, saying, hey, we used to live here, let us in. And there are some guards around the inside of the force field, of course there gigantic outposts around it, like 4, because it doesn't go all the way around. Actually, no, um, 8. 2 in the front, 2 on each side, and then 2 in the back. So they're pretty big outposts, and that's how big the area is. Now, a few people were able to get in, and they were just kind of surrounded by these heavily armored clone troopers that have shields, and behind them there were tanks. And they're like, "What are you going to do? Kill us?" And the clone troopers are like, "Not unless our not unless our leader tells us to. Now get out of now. Please leave the area, or we will forcefully remove you." And so Zuko calls up the Emperor. Is like, "Hey, buddy, nice to be talking to you again. If you don't get these people out of my force field, I'm going to take it as a revolution against me, and that revolution is going to be part of your government." I'm going to say that because it is. People of your empire or some shit like that, whatever it is now, have forcefully entered my area and threatened to try and take it back. That's kind of an invasion, you know, and I don't think we agreed to you for you taking it back after a week. So you get these people out of here, and I don't start a World War III on your ass and take the entire country itself. And the Emperor, out of fear, is like, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." So Zuko practically has the Emperor around his finger. Like, he's controlling the Emperor, pretty much. Pro heroes aren't really liking it. They kind of go to the Emperor from time to time and say, "Sir, what are you doing?" He's like, "Listen, I'm going to send All Might in there as a representative to try and make peace with him, because I'm not really sure how long this will last until he says that we declared war on him, that we probably will, just because of the citizens doing it, and he will destroy our ass. So, All Might, and probably the rest of UA, including the students because of how powerful they are, we'll go to the front of the barrier, ask to be let in. I'll say that they're here from me. You guys go in and speak to the Zuko." So that happens, and Baka goes with them. So is the entirety of Class 1A. And so they get to this, they get to Zuko's now gigantic office, and he's sitting at his desk with his helmet off. Now, because of how good his soldiers are at fighting, he wanted to see how good they are. And he's actually been taking training by them by himself, and he's a pretty good fighter, like really good. And so he was bested by one of the Mandalorians, and like, "Are you okay, sir?" And he's like, "Yeah," but he has like this scar down his left eye, and he has to keep it closed because of how, you know, it's because, but it's, you know, just a white eye now. He also shaved his head, like most clone troopers have it. And once Bakugo sees him, he's like, "Deku?" And Zuko's like, "It's Zuko now, not Deku. Nice to see you too, Kachan. I mean, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Bakugo." And just from Bakugo hearing that, he hears the just if somebody were talking to a random person, just a regular person, and Bakugo feels that in his soul, and it crushes him. He feels like he's the reason he feels like another reason Izuku's like that. So All Might goes up to him and tries to shake Izuku's hand, but one of the few guards in the room kind of just starts to rev up his weapon, and All Might immediately takes back his hand because they don't really know how powerful their weapons are. And then Izuku's like, you are here on a diplomatic mission to kind of bring peace back. I believe you want me to kind of let the citizens into the area, right?" And All Might's like, "Yes, how did you know?" Because that was their idea. They had it on a piece of paper, it's just that they didn't want anybody to hear it. Izuku says, when you walk through the scanners were able to sense everything on you, including what was written on those pieces of paper. I read them over before you came in here. I know why you're here. And no, I won't let people in. You know what comes with people coming into an area where that was formerly theirs, but has now been passed over to another person? Riots. They want to take back more of their area that sadly has now become industry where things are getting refined and everything. One of the only pathways was one of the pathways you came down. 4 pathways. Front, both sides, and back. Only 4 pathways. The other ones are either reached by air, yeah, or just air. That's it. And All Might says, well, sir, we can't leave here without anything. And Izuku pulling out a lightsaber. Because of course he did. You might be asking, hey, how does Izuku have a lightsaber? Well, I'm going to stretch this out, but during the time of the Clone Wars, the clone troopers were under the under the leadership of Jedi. Meaning that the Jedi were technically in command of the clone army, meaning that they were a part of it. So that means that anything that the Jedi had was simultaneously a part of the clone army. So he was able to have a lightsaber. And so he brings out a yellow lightsaber, because he's the only one with it. He brings it out and holds it up to All Might. He says, I'm not gonna strike you down. I'm also not gonna hurt you. This is just to show what I can make. This is easy. For you guys, it'd take millions and millions of years. Probably you wouldn't even be able to make this. That's how hard it is. Mom over there, she couldn't even make this. The reason I can make this is because it's a part of my quirk. The downstairs, not on the lower levels of the base, not on the first level of the base, below that, the basement, you could say. I have enough equipment and stuff to more or less take over the world, probably other planets in the process as well. And I've decided not to, because I want to do this peacefully. But if those people at the borders keep trying to break in, then the next time they do it, I'm saying you declared war on me, because you pretty much did. You forcefully entered my area without having a permit, a passport to come here. Yeah, you practically just be an enemy of the area. You're practically that. And that gives me full access to say, hey, your people did this, I'm going to attack you now. Now, what Izuku's doing is he's practically just playing the same card he did to the Emperor. He's like, these people forcefully come in, I'm seeing you declared war on me, I'm declaring war on you. Now, right as Izuku says that, another riot happens and it breaks through the barrier. And they're like, let us in, give us back our land, stuff like that. And so Izuku's like, oh, seems like that happened. And All Might's like, oh shit. Now I'm just gonna say president, let's just say that. It's like, hopefully All Might was able to strike a deal with Izuku. All Might wasn't even able to talk the terms and services of the frickin' stuff. And he whips out his phone, calls up the Emperor, and he's like, sir? And there was like, please tell me something good happened during that meeting, because I don't think we can take another strike. And now it's like, no, sir. Right as we were about to talk terms and right as we were about to talk about the real thing, they broke through. And so the Emperor's like, we'll just take it as it is. And so the Emperor, over all comms, hacks into the phones and some stuff like that. He says, due to the constant barrier breaking of the citizens going into Izuku Midoriya's territory, we have technically declared war on him. Sadly, because of his firepower, we will instantly give up without any fight. The reason why is because I personally saw all the stuff he had. It's miles long. The amount of stuff he has would be able to conquer the world. If we tried to even fight him, it'd be over in an hour, maybe a day. But that's it. We'd be done for. He'd be the new ruler. I'd be probably dead, and this entire country would most likely be, well, most of it would probably be industry so that he can make more stuff, and the rest of it would just be the regular stuff, really. So we are instantly giving up and forfeiting everything to Izuku Midoriya. He is now the new emperor. Unless all those citizens want to say sorry and leave, and Izuku immediately kind of bumps into it and says, "Nope, sorry, not going to give you that option. You declared war on us. We declare war on you now. I've already launched all the ships, but not all of them, enough, and we're coming for you. First we're probably going to bomb the capital, and then we're going to move over to, let's say, all the unnecessary places that don't really need people there. We'll kind of set up shop there, like industries and stuff. Oh yeah, and Mr. Emperor, I'll personally deal with you." And so the people are immediately shot down. All my and the rest of the students are held at gunpoint and told to please leave because they will be part of the new society. And they want to live, so they go. Bakugo's like, "What have you done, Izuku? What have you done, Deku?" And Izuku's like, "It's Izuku, Bakugo." What I've done is created a new world. And right as Izuku did that, it really did only take a few hours, because after that, they see the ships, and the United States, China, Russia, everybody, all the big stuff, all the little stuff, see that. Most of the little guys near them immediately give up because they can't match that. Some of the bigger ones are getting scared because they're gaining more and more land. And so Russia, in fear, somehow, gives up because they see the power that he holds. It took them an hour. For Russia, it would have probably taken them a day or two. And they don't want anybody dying. So they give up. Now, Izuku controls most of the world. And let's just say he controls most of it. Takes over China, Germany, France, all that stuff. One of the places he hasn't taken, Hawaii, America, Canada, Mexico, South America, and the North Poles. He'll be taking, the North Pole and South Pole. He'll be taking those next to them. He'll just slowly close in. The last one he'll take is America. Let's say America's got the next strongest heroes because they got the second least amount of villain attacks. I'm just gonna make this a one-parter, really. It's almost an hour. And so, yeah, Zuko controls the world. Everybody's pretty much in peace. Over time, everybody's kind of gotten used to Zuko. And he's around the age 20 to 30. So it's like 10 to 20 years. And everybody's kind of okay with him being there. And his rule has now stretched to the moon, Mars. He can't really inhabit some of the other planets still. He's moving out of the galaxy and stuff. He's kind of just creating the Galactic Empire with clone troopers instead of stormtroopers. And so yeah, that's the end of What If Ezekiel Midoriya had the clone trooper army as a quirk. He controls the world. Tomorrow, probably? Yeah, tomorrow, I'll be doing What If Ezekiel Midoriya had Unknown as a quirk. So yeah, bye.